Welcome to the House of Puerto Rico San Diego cottage in Balboa Park. The House of Puerto Rico San Diego started as a social organization in 1972. In 2006, the House of Puerto Rico San Diego was able to build this cottage that we call La Casita and establish this museum inside of La Casita. The purpose of this cottage and its museum is to highlight the art, history, and culture of Puerto Rico and to impart this information on visitors, San Diegans, and our own Puerto Ricans residing here in San Diego. The exhibits that you will view during your visit to this museum include poster boards showing some of the history of Puerto Rico, starting out as a Spanish colony and then becoming a Commonwealth of the United States. The poster boards are meant to highlight Portacelli Church. This is a very important church in San Germán, Puerto Rico. It dates to over 400 years ago, and it has now been recently renovated and made into a religious art museum. Next on the poster boards, we are showing a number of prominent Puerto Ricans residing here in San Diego or elsewhere in the United States. I'd like to specifically mention Lorenzo Omar, a well-known Puerto Rican graphic artist, because on the walls here at the Casita, you will see some of his works of art. In this exhibit, you will see some information about Puerto Rican Sonia Sotomayor, the first Hispanic appointed U.S. Supreme Court Justice, and also a book about her childhood growing up in the Bronx in New York City. I'd also like to mention Benicio del Toro, who actually studied here in San Diego. He's a well-known actor and Oscar winner. In this cabinet, please look at information about Joseph M. Acaba, the first Puerto Rican to become a U.S. astronaut. And in this cabinet here, prominent Puerto Ricans living in San Diego, such as Miguel Rosario, who is the commanding police officer for the Northwestern Division in San Diego, also Professor Evelyn Diaz Cruz, and Dr. Antonio Lopez, who is a well-known dermatologist practicing here in San Diego and a clinical professor of medicine at UCSD. Our permanent exhibit in this cabinet highlights pre-Columbian Puerto Rico, and you see a number of artifacts dating back to the times of the Taíno Indians before the discovery by Christopher Columbus. In the lower part of the cabinet, there are some artifacts from colonial Puerto Rico during Spanish times and then on to Puerto Rico becoming a Commonwealth of the U.S. This cabinet highlights the music of Puerto Rico and some of the typical musical instruments, such as the güiro, maracas, palitos, and the cuatro, which is a very typical Puerto Rican musical instrument. On our walls, you will see artwork by a couple of Puerto Rican artists. First, Lorenzo Omar, one of the most prominent graphic artists from Puerto Rico. And here you see the work that he did for the Pan American Games of 1979. This serigraph is very important as it is part of a portfolio on which Lorenzo Omar worked together with Pablo Casals and Tomás Blanco. Pablo Casals wrote the music, Tomás Blanco wrote the lyrics, and Lorenzo Omar was responsible for the graphic art. It's one-of-a-kind kind of work that cannot be seen in many places. The poster above the door shows Julia de Burgos, a Puerto Rican poet, and in her name, the U.S. has issued this postage stamp. A contemporary Puerto Rican painter is Huichi Torres from Ponce, Puerto Rico, and some of his works are shown on this wall. Above the window, you will see 3 masks that are used in folkloric festivities in Puerto Rico. They are made of different materials like coconut husks, papier-mâché, and other materials. We are also showing a continuous video that highlights some of the beautiful aspects of our island, Puerto Rico.
I'd like to welcome you to the Dr. Antonio Grillo Lopez Library. The House of Puerto Rico San Diego is very proud to have Dr. Antonio Grillo Lopez, a prominent member of our organization. Our exhibits includes awards given to Dr. Grillo, both national and international, for his contributions to cancer research. In the library, you'll find a collection of writings, books, and art, all in reference to Puerto Rico. You'll also find an encyclopedia on Puerto Rico that dates back to the colonial times and pre-colonial times to up to about 1950. This is a real treasure here that we have in Puerto Rico. Here we have the original logo of the House of Puerto Rico, La Casa de Puerto Rico, by architect Rick Clark, which has been very instrumental to our project through the years. Here we have a resolution of the City Council which proclaims February 4th, 2006, House of Puerto Rico Day in the city of San Diego. The House of Puerto Rico was built by private funds, private citizens, Puerto Rican, and friends of Puerto Rico here in San Diego. The Casita is open every Sunday from 12 to 4 to the general public. We also use La Casita for social activities, cultural activities, and education of our youth.